Right, so welcome to the Honda NC750 X. I don't know what the X stands for, but it's in the X ADV as well, so Honda obviously just like X's. So what can we tell you about this bike straight off the bat? So this is a how can I explain it? It's sort of like an all-round, sort of easily accessible, fairly basic motorbike that, in my opinion, is aimed at the kind of people that are probably riding for a purpose, like they're getting to work, or it's so difficult to explain it. It's not got a lot of power, it's not slow by any means, but it's not, you know, your typical, it's not a looker, you know, I mean, it's not ugly, but it's not like, if you put it in a lineup, no one's going to pick this out of the line. It's just a sort of, it's just a motorbike. It's just like, I don't know, the Ford Fiesta of motorbikes. And the thing that makes it stand out from other bikes, in my opinion, is just the gearbox layout. Because it's got that DCT gearbox, it means that essentially it's a twist and go bike with the option of button changing, which I suspect almost no one ever does on these bikes. So what to tell you about it? So the first thing we're going to do is we'll go on the internet and we'll just quickly run through some basic specs. Right, a quick basic look at the specs on the internet. And 58 horsepower, 51 newton meters of torque. It's got a DCT 6-speed gearbox, like we said, it's chain driven. This one has got a single front brake, and I believe that the newest versions actually have a twin front brake. 17-inch wheels, front and rear, quite narrow tyres, but that means there'll be loads of different tyre choices for these, depending on what you want to do. 14 litres of fuel. It weighs apparently 214 kilos, the DCT one 225 kilos-ish, something like that. It's got a seat height of 80 centimetres or 800 millimetres. And what else is interesting? Not that much really. That's about all the interesting things that most people want to know. You're not really interested in the size of the brakes or anything like that. So we've just been for a test ride. And the things I can tell you straight away are the brakes are fantastic on this bike. This has done about 25,000 kilometers now. It's well running, the brakes are well bedded in, etc. I'm not completely convinced that the tyres are the best on this particular bike, but there's no point talking about tyres because, you know, it depends on, you know, whatever tyres you've got on your own bike at the time. So that's not really something that's all that interesting to people. Right, let's grab you off this stand. Right, basically a walk around of the bike. So it has got a little handbrake. I don't know if you can see that there. It's a secondary caliper. I'm not really sure. I suppose it's just because this can't go into gear. So you just pull that little lever up there, press that with your thumb to release it. That's your little handbrake. So if you're parked on a hill, that's a good little handy thing. It's very basic swinging arm there. Cast aluminium wheels, quite a fair size rear disc, passenger foot pegs, normal foot pegs with a rubber. You know, this is all relatively basic stuff, you know, nothing's particularly fancy. Nice easy access to the oil. I'm not sure where you can see the oil, so it's probably a dipstick, I suspect. We can open it up and have a little look, can't we? Why not? Yeah, it's a dipstick. So that's, I prefer a sight glass, but dipstick is what it is. This particular bike does not have a centre stand, so if you wanted to do maintenance on this, you'd probably want to buy some paddock stands. Right, it's got ABS, as you can see. I don't believe it's a linked ABS. I think that it's separate, but I might be wrong. I'll double check that perhaps in the description. Up on the handlebars, fairly normal set of controls. The only thing that's different is that this controls your gearbox, drive, neutral, manual and auto over there. You've got some modes, but I've had a little fiddle around with the modes, and to be honest with you, just leave it in drive and go for it. The wing mirrors, you've got pretty good vision from the wing mirrors, and the dash, albeit it's a little relatively basic. It's a normal key, relatively basic, as you can see, but nonetheless gives you pretty much all the information that you want. Lighting on this bike, it's got those American style daylight running sort of orange lights going on all the time. Let's have a look at the high beam. So you can see the pattern on the wall there. So the low beam stays on all the time and the high beam is added on. I suspect probably, even though the bulbs look like they're LED, they're probably not amazing, but nonetheless they're probably not completely naff either. We've done the horn, but we can do the horn again. So it's a fairly normal Honda tooty noise. Weather protection is, I'd say, minimal at best. Side stand only, as we said, and the seat is definitely on the hard side and quite sort of slippy as well, I noticed when I was riding. Although it's got this kind of material on it, it's still quite slidey. So what's totally different about this bike to other bikes is that it's got a frunk. So it's got a sizable frunk actually. So this is a lone bike. I'll get a little padlock with it for some reason. And just wanted to have a little look, so I just get like a normal Arai helmet and we'll bung that in there. And I think we'll try it bum in first, like so. I can't get it. Oh yeah, it will go in there. It's a funny jaunty angle. Not quite. I think like on my scooter, it's a front end in first kind of situation. So let's try that. No, what about this way around? Oh, that's feeling a lot more positive. No. And we'll try it one more time. How are we going to do this? So, like so. Maybe just a little twist, maybe. Hey, there we go. So I can get a medium-sized Arai inside there if it was a little bit of a wiggle, and you know, you could tuck your gloves in there, some other bits around. So that's an adequate sort of size bit of storage. I thought I'd just for the sake of argument, I've got this. It's actually a cover for a motorbike. It's a fairly sizable thing, and just thought I'd see if I could squeeze that in there. I think with a push and a wriggle, we could get that in there as well. So fairly big bit of space in there. Now there's a little sticker in there and it says 5 kilograms in there. The bike is 209 kilos max and 27 kilos of luggage. So that's a bit of info. And then you may ask, come on, let's just put that little padlock back inside there. There we go, don't lose that. You might ask, where does the fuel go? So that's a little sneaky. So if you turn this key the other way, like that, the little passenger seat lifts up, and then you've got your fuel cap in there. So that's how you fill that up. And then it's just got like a little latch which you lift up, I guess, yeah, lift up, and that's it. So what have we got on there? Some sort of touring tyre probably. I mean, this is a lone bike, so here we go. At least you can have a little look and see sort of what muck is going to get chucked up the back of it, because it's winter time now. But basically it's just a nice, I actually think it's a quite nice looking little bike. When I say little, I mean a 750cc motorbike, it's not really all that little. People start getting a bit excited about 1300cc GS's, but that is massive, massive bike. Most people don't want or need such a big bike. So there you go, that's a basic walk round. What else would you want to know? The screen, it's in one position only. Out on the test ride, you can see that actually worked pretty well. And I think what a lot of people want to know is what's it like to get on and off the bike, and can I touch the ground, stuff like that. So let's have a little go at that. Right, so getting on and off this bike, let's just put the keys back in the ignition. So just on the side stand, I've got a 32-inch leg. I'm yay tall. Again, I'll put that in on the video. Can't remember how tall I am. It's never that important to myself. So I can just very easily swing my leg over this bike. And although, like on most bikes, the pegs are actually kind of in the way of your legs, essentially I can flat foot this bike. I think what we'll do is we'll just ever so slightly move the camera down. So there you go, I've just moved the camera down so you can see I can flat foot this bike, and that's in trainers, so there's almost no heel in this. And that's same for both feet, so I can completely flat foot that. And one of the good things about this bike is it's actually really narrow here where your legs go, which means that you can just get closer to the floor. Again, the pegs are slightly in the way, but that's pretty normal for most bikes. So, on and off. I quite typically get on and off bikes just standing on the pegs. That's typically how I get on and off a bike, but this is a bike I could actually quite easily swing my leg over. So that's quite nice, isn't it? So what else can I tell you? I suspect that fuel economy is going to be pretty exceptional on this bike. Purely because of just the engine size, the fact that it's an automatic, it's probably just going to just let you cruise along quite easily. I will say, in sort of, perhaps it's a bit contradictory to other people's experience, but I find that the DCT gearbox, especially on this particular bike that I'm riding today, is incredibly smooth. Even if you nail it, it's a very smooth changing gearbox. I suspect that a lot of the rides that people go on, the test ride bikes, it's a new bike and they just haven't bedded in yet. So don't let that put you off the jerkiness. And I will say that the newer the bikes are, as in age, the better the DCT gearboxes are getting. So the Honda development team are clearly working towards getting that system, the sort of integrated system, where it's not just a gearbox that goes up and down, it's also got, it's attached to the telemetry of the bike. So obviously it's got lean angle sensors that will tell it that you're probably, like, so when you're braking, for example, it knows that you're braking because the bike's tipped forward and perhaps you're starting to lean over, so it knows you're coming in to do a turn, or perhaps you're coming into a roundabout or something, and it tends to know, certainly on my XADV, and I've experienced it on this today, it seems to know that you're coming into a position where you need to change down, and it just seems to know to do that. So that's quite good. And I suspect that as time goes on, that's only going to get better and better and better and better and more seamless. Because at the end of the day, this is just changing gears, you know, like a bit like a real, you know, like a real gearbox rather than a CVT scooter, which is just really just one gear that continuously changes speed. So don't be put off by the DCT gearboxes. In fact, dare I say it, it's definitely the future. As I mentioned in the ride part of the video, I really do think that this automatic thing that's happening at the moment in the last 5-10 years is going to be the future. Right, we've had a nice look around the bike, so it's time to go for a ride. Okay, right, join me on a very windy day in the Netherlands. Now let's learn a little bit about this NC750. Nice bit of glare off the road there, lovely, can't see a thing. So straight off the bat then, it's basically the same as an XADV, but as a motorbike rather than a scooter. Many of you will already know that I own the Honda XADV, so actually this is going to be a lovely opportunity to compare the two. So the first and very obvious thing is that ergonomically this is a motorbike. You sit like a motorbike, it rides like a motorbike. The only thing that is not completely motorbikey is perhaps the gearbox, which is a DCT. So no clutch lever over there, and the brake is in the same place as a normal motorbike. The rear brake is down on your right foot, front brake is in a normal place, and there's no clutch pedal. So it's the left hand side of the bike is carefree. Now I'm hoping that you can see all right, and the wind isn't going to be too much of an issue. There's a storm coming, so tonight we're going to have, there you go, it's literally blowing me sideways there. Tonight we're going to have a big storm here in the Netherlands. My bike's in for a service, and this is the loan bike. What can I tell you? So straight off the bat, it's the engine and the gearbox obviously is exactly the same as the Honda XADV. Although this bike is slightly older than mine. I'm not sure which year this is. I'm sure I'll be able to find out, and I'll post that on the video. Muddy roads now with the farmers out on these fields in the winter. I think it's been a tough year for them. The weather's not really been ideal for farming, but when is it? So it's difficult to really know exactly what to tell people on these reviews, because everyone's experience is going to be slightly different, and the road you ride, etc, etc. So we can talk about, it's a bit wet out here, but we can talk about the brakes. So I think I'll just do sort of about a 50 mile an hour front brake pull. Hopefully I won't bin it in the mud. A lot of mud out on this little road. The wind's blowing me all over the place. So that's a 50 mile an hour. Not really pulled it, but very adequate braking for the weight of this machine. And just do a rear brake only as well. Oh, it's locked up a little bit and sorted itself out. So actually I'll say the back brake is very good on this bike, especially considering the weather conditions, and this particular bit of tarmac is a bit naff. I mean, who's going to be riding this kind of a bike? So I think this bike is very much suited to newer riders. I mean, anyone can ride any bike, but I think I'm just thinking about who's going to be buying this kind of bike. And I suppose, in my opinion, it's probably somebody like perhaps a commuter, or even, I don't know, delivery riders. But equally, this is a great everyday bike that you can use for, you know, doing all of your riding needs. Of course, it's not a sports bike. It's a 750 twin with about, I don't know, 70 horsepower or something. If I can double check the power and tool figures. I'll be honest, when I review bikes, I'm not really interested in the size of the brakes and the horsepower and all of that, because out in the real world, like today, where it's windy and wet and muddy, your horsepower is not really going to be doing you any favours anyway, because you can't use any of it. All you really want to know is how comfortable it is, and the wind protection, and you know, what it's like to go around corners and stuff like that. So what I'm going to try and do is just do a couple of different roads that I know of. This is actually, I'm coming down here for the suspension, so it's quite a bumpy road, and there's not many bumpy roads in the Netherlands, so it's good to take it down here. And the ride is it's relatively firm, but not, you know, it's quite forgiving, this suspension. I'm about 84 kilos. That would have been a jump if I hadn't have stood up. Don't do any jumps, that's naughty. You know, about 84 kilos or something, and I suspect this suspension is perhaps a tiny bit on the firm side, but for my personal riding style, actually, this suits me very well. I suspect it's relatively unadjustable. Again, these are all things, I just went for the clutch. These are all things that I can check later on and add them into the walk around bit. I'm fairly sure you're going to get some preload adjustability on the rear shock for when you want to take a passenger, for example. So we've done the brakes. The suspension, as I say, feels pretty good. Well, I suppose I can talk to you about the dashboard, and this being a slightly older model has got this old style dashboard, so we've got no fancy TFT screens. But actually, I've got to be honest with you, I don't think it really matters. I think if you're in the market for a second-hand bike, I wouldn't let the screen be the thing that sways your opinion on anything. All you really need to know is what gear you're in. Well, you don't really need to know that on an automatic bike, perhaps. What your speed is, and the other sort of information that you've got. So in here, actually, on the right hand side, you've got a bunch of letters: P, E, B, T and D, and that's your settings in your bike. So it's like your traction control, I don't know, power. I'm not really, I've got to be honest with you, I don't really know what all the letters mean. Maybe one of you guys can tell me. And it's giving me my average fuel. Oh, that was cozy. Could have just pulled over, couldn't you, mate? Never mind. And then you've got a little flashy light up here. It goes red and blue. I just saw it going yellow. I've absolutely no idea what that is. Again, we should find that out and talk about that in a minute when we get off it. Well, low speed controller was actually, I didn't even have to use the brakes there. It was lovely and easy and balanced. Oh, it's gone a bit sort of blue there, that light. Purpley, blue, I don't know. Yeah, you've got your fuel gauge, and then obviously you've got some buttons. So let's talk about this. Now, that's your hazard warnings up there. You've got your normal light switches. You can select the gears, so there's down and up is the other side. Select, this must scroll through stuff on your dashboard. Look, there's all sorts of things it's going through now. Look, I'm scrolling through. You've got the modes, which we'll press in a minute. The horn, which actually is in a relatively okay position for a Honda. Quite a normal Honda sounding horn. Normal indicators, left, right, cancel. And on this side, the only thing that's sort of a little bit extra is you've got your gear select. So you've got neutral and drive. And this. Automatic manual. Yes, must be automatic and manual. So this is an auto now. I'll press that. Doesn't seem to tell me that I've changed into manual or automatic. It's still in automatic as far as I can see. Went for the clutch again, that's the second time. So I can just use the gears on the fingers. So what's it doing now? It's in manual now. There we go. Oh no, it's in automatic now. I don't really know how that works. On my bike, you can just press it any time Maybe we'll just pull over here and just see what happens when you stop. Perhaps it engages manual then. Brakes are very good actually, I will say it. I don't really know. Right, mode. Mode is flashing through these different things, which is not all that interesting to anybody. Oh, okay, D, and the D goes out. D, and the D goes out. So is that now in manual or automatic? So that's you see that there? I hope you can see that, the D and the, well, don't know. Let's do it without it and see what happens. Okay, it's not changing gear now, so I have to. Okay, so now we're in manual. So we're going to go along. Can we now change it to go? Yes. So now it's in automatic. I'm going to press it again and it goes out. And now it's in manual, I'm assuming. Go up a gear. Yes. Okay, so that's how that works. So there's not really an awful lot, you know, to play around with as far as buttons go. The screen seems to be fixed. So if you need a taller screen, then you're having to swap the screen. It's going to be in a single position. Incidentally, something that I noticed on my own bike, that it took me, I probably owned my bike about 3 months before I realised it's got 6 gears. and most bikes have 5, to be honest with you. I suspect there are some newer bikes that have got 6 gears, you know, but I never noticed until a couple of weeks ago that my bike had 6 gears. I was just going along the motorway and I looked down and I was like, 6? Oh, okay, 6 gear. Didn't even realise. So so that's the dashboard and the controls. Whilst we're riding along, it's easy enough. The other things to think about is your riding position and your mirrors, etc, etc. So actually, in true Honda style, these mirrors seem to be on most of their bikes that I've ridden lately, and they're very good. If you're not nodding your head left to right and you're just looking at the mirror, you see about 70 to 75, almost 80% in some sort of angles of the road and not your arm. So the vision out of them is actually pretty good, and I think that's partly due to the shape of that little bit on the edge there, the way it sort of goes up there on the edge. It just gives you that. I went for the clutch again. That's the 3rd time I've gone for the clutch. I ride an automatic all the time. I never go for the clutch on my bike. It's only on this one. But I'll tell you what it is, maybe I'm going for the rear brake, because I use quite a lot of rear brake when I ride my own XADV. So maybe I'm going for the brake. I don't know. It's quite funny though. It's like having a ghost finger or something. Right, yeah, so riding position. Obviously I'm not going to get to ride this bike for a particularly long period of time, so I'm not going to be able to give any sort of long journey feedback on the comfort of the bike as far as that's concerned. What I can tell you is though that the material that the seat is made of is a little bit, I've got BMW winter trousers on at the moment, and I would say that it's a little bit slidey. I'm just sliding my butt around. It's a bit slidey, but that's, you know, it's not really the end of the world. Right, another chance to feel the bumps. So the seat itself is pretty hard, I will say, but I actually prefer a hard seat. So I think for me, if this was a bike that I'd bought, I'd be quite happy with it. Yeah. Okay. But I do, however, wonder what it's like after, let's say, an hour. So, I mean, I'm not going to be riding this bike for an hour. But yeah, I've got this feeling that after an hour you're definitely going to want to be getting off this bike and having a bit of a bum stretch. Well, that's the end of the really bumpy stuff, and I think that ultimately it's about the same as my XADV on suspension. And the riding position, so my upper body is ever so slightly canted forward. I think if you were, I'm not that tall, trying to think in centimetres. Anyway, I'll add that in. Get out. Yeah, I'm not that tall, and for me personally, this bike is really a nice sized bike. But I think if you were 6 foot or so, this would end up being a cramped bike for you. Depending on what you're using it for, you know, if you're going relatively short journeys to work and you didn't want to have to change gear all the time, 20 minutes, 40 minutes, something like that, then of course it ain't going to really affect you. It's only if you want to start using this bike for longer distance riding, stuff like that, that you being a giant will definitely come into play. Oh, that wind is strong. When I get off the bike and do a little bit of a walk around and a chat about it, I will show you what it's like to get on and off the bike, and how easy it is to touch the floor, stuff like that. But what I can tell you is, with a 32-inch leg that I have, I might not need to stop for this roundabout, but I'm going to anyway, just so I can put my feet down. And I will tell you that I can put both of my feet down. The seat's quite narrow. Put both of my feet down, and my legs go just in front of the pegs. Again, I will show you that when we get back to the studio. I'm a bit dubious to go any faster around that wet roundabout. And here, got that sun glare on the road. I have actually got a really cool visor for the autumn and spring on my Arai helmet, which I'll probably show you in a minute. It's got like a little drop down dark visor bit. It's quite good actually, I've got to say. I thought it was going to be a bit crap, but my opinion. Right, so I'm just going to stay, I don't know, like, probably not going to mess around with like a sport mode or whatever, but we're just going to see what it's like when I just drop. I'm going to nail it. It's in 4th gear. I went to 3rd. Wow. So yes, I might have to blur that bit out, but ultimately it's quite a fast little bike. I would say this is possibly faster than my scooter. That being said, I don't really nail my scooter quite like that very often. Quite a sensible rider, seeing as I film myself a lot of the time. So perhaps what we'll do is we'll go to the slip road of the motorway. I can only do 100 kilometers an hour here in the Netherlands, which is about 60, so at least we can do a 0 to 60 test. We won't be able to do a top speed test. So 0, here we go. There you go. Lovely. It's plenty fast enough, this thing. Can talk to you about the wind. So the wind hits me about just above the camera, so about the bottom of the visor. As I say, I'm not that tall, so that means I'm not getting any wind on the chest. It's all just on the head, and I'm not getting knocked about by the wind, even though it's really windy today. I'm not finding I'm getting, you know, buffeting in the helmet. So actually for me, probably I wouldn't even change that screen. so I'm not sure there would be any advantage to do so. Obviously, it's probably worth trying a few screens out, but that can get expensive. I wish companies would send me stuff that I could review. The problem is I'm, you know, my subscriber count is still pretty low, almost at 2,000 subscribers now. This is actually pretty amazing. Here, look at this. So you've got this big boatlet going through this massive lock on the river. That's pretty cool. I'm hoping I can just squeeze down the side of this car. Oh, they might not have noticed me yet. Just easy does it. Yep. Now, can I squeeze all the way through? So this is actually a good example, isn't it? Of oh look, we can't. But can I get through? It's a good example of low speed manoeuvrability of the bike. Ooh, I probably could have made that if I tried. It's really lovely to ride, this bike. It's really super easy. It's nice and light. You know, its manoeuvrability is exceptionally good. Well, I am going to wait here, so I shall see you in the next part of the video, because you don't want to watch this bridge. Quite possibly, anyway. Right, well, so far, super impressed. Right, let's talk about this DCT gearbox then. So this is in auto mode. I'll just wait for this car to go by. And you do hear a lot of people saying that it's really jerky and all that. So let's just do a nice gentle pull away. It's just a tiny bit of throttle. And like this, it's just super smooth. This bike's well running. It's got 25,000 kilometers on it. And it's nice and warm now. I've just been riding for 10 minutes or so. And I've got to say that I think that a lot of people, when they test ride these bikes for YouTube, they're test riding a brand new bike or very, very new bike. And it's a bit like a new engine, you know, a new bike's engine. You know, it just takes a little bit of time to run in and get settle itself in. And I will say that when you just pootle along, the gearbox is super slick, super smooth. I mean, you can't really feel it. Right, let's get around here. Third, fourth. I mean, it just... Honestly, I've got to say, obviously I'm just using a tiny bit of throttle here, but it's so smooth. I've heard so many people saying that it's jerky, and I think that part of the problem is that a lot of people, when they ride these bikes for a test ride, for a review, they just bang them in sport mode straight away and just ride around in sport mode. And I've got to be honest with you, I don't ride bikes in sport mode particularly very often because, well, I don't know, I just don't feel like I need to. If I want to ride fast, you can ride fast in the mode you're in. You know, in my opinion, it's giving you less control over when you want to change gear. I mean, it's in 6th gear now. Just what I will say is 6th gear feels like a bit of an overdrive. It did drop the revs down quite a bit. So we'll just come up to this roundabout then. If you can see on the dashboard, we're in 5th. I'm just going to use a bit of both of the brakes. And it's brought me all the way down to 2nd. Look. Still a bit dubious about these corners with all the wet leaves and diesel everywhere. It's just so smooth. And you don't need to muck about with your left hand. It's just... I think it's the future. I've got to be honest with you, I see a lot of comments when... it's a bit of a... not a real biker. Gears are everything. But like... Formula 1 drivers don't change gear with their left hand or right hand or whatever it is. It's just a automatic gearbox that they tap a little button like it's the future. You know, most cars now, when you buy a car, it's automatic, isn't it? Well, here we go, look, pulling away. Don't need my left hand, it's just so easy. Third, now fourth. And then we're going to turn right here. Just a dab on the little back brake. Just goes around the corner. It's just such a pleasant way to ride a motorbike. And this bike, especially at low speeds, it's a lovely characteristic about it. It's definitely something that you'd want to have in a city, for sure. Okay, so this is not like the most ideal pull 0 to 60, but you'll get the idea. I've just got to get around this corner. Right, I'm doing 30 kilometers an hour. There we go. I mean, it's, you know, it's a modern motorbike, it's just not slow. I mean, how fast do you even need to go these days anyway? Like 120 mile an hour, if that's top speed of your bike, is like already very, very fast. Like if you have an accident at 120 mile an hour wearing what I'm wearing now, I'm probably dead. I mean, I'm doing 60 now, going to be quite badly injured even wearing good quality motorbike gear. I mean, I'm probably wearing over well over 1.5 grand's worth of rider gear right now, and if I ever crash at 60 mile an hour, I'm going to be in a mess. How fast do you even want to go? I mean, you know, once you're on a racetrack, full levers, controlled conditions, that's a different story. Then maybe you know, 150, 180 horsepower bikes make sense, but out here in the real world, I think 99% of us are not really that interested in those bikes anymore. Especially seeing as the age group of people riding and buying bikes is just getting older and older and older. So, yeah, speed-wise, I think you'll have no problems getting in and out of trouble with this particular bike. I love not worrying about the clutch. Do you know what? This is a fabulous little bike. I'll tell you what, this is a great little bike. It's very much like my little scooter. I will say this is a lovely little bike, especially second hand. I mean, this is obviously well within the realms of the second hand motorbike market now, this particular model. 25,000 kilometers, what's that, about 14,000 miles? It's a Honda. I mean, I don't know what these go for. Maybe I'm going to have a look on eBay and just have a little see how much this bike would go for second hand. But like, I think you get really everything you'd ever want from a motorbike, more or less, apart from a shifter. So yeah, I think this is a really good option. I mean, like, I used to ride into London for years on scooters and motorbikes for work. I used to work up in town quite a bit on construction sites, and the scooters really were the way to go, because, you know, it's just twisted go, just get on with it, and you don't need to worry. There's so many things around you that the less you have to do on the bike, the more time you have to pay attention to what's around you. And also there's lots and lots and lots of instances that I can think of where having, you know, not having to change gear was not necessarily the difference between life and death, but certainly the difference between me having an accident and not having an accident, where, you know, it doesn't matter what gear you're in because there aren't any, so you can just pull out of a situation quite easily, which is there's much to be said for that. And that's why I think that these DCT gearboxes and others as well, I'm really hoping to get to be able to ride other bikes more and more as my YouTube channel grows. 2026, I'm going to have a big push towards reviewing a lot more bikes on the channel. So we're almost back to the studio now, where we can do a little walk round, and then there'll be one more chance to ride the bike again when I take it back to the shop and pick my bike up. And what I can tell you, on our short journey, I don't know how long it's been, 20 minutes, 25 minutes, that seat, that firm seat is beginning to show its colours. Already got a little bit of niggly numb bum syndrome going on. I'm really missing my XADV already. That lovely comfort seat I've got on there. I'm really not sure about this bike for two up riding, maybe for short distances, but ultimately for a solo ride, this bike's lovely. And finally, I think as part of this test, the last bit of this journey, I'm going to go back on the highway or the motorway. And it is very windy, but actually I think the wind's going to be more or less behind me. It's going to be pushing me along, so I suppose I'll still get a good idea of what the wind situation is like off this screen. And I've got to be honest with you, I think I said it earlier in the video, the wind just hits you in the helmet nice and sort of squarely, so there's no real buffeting or anything like that. It's a well positioned, well designed bike, this. The layout for me personally is very good. It's only this very uncomfortable seat that would be a bit of an off-putting thing. Other than the seat, I think this bike is brilliant. It's just, I don't know what you'd do to fix that seat. I don't know if there's a different option for the seat or whether you'd have to get it customised. Right, well, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you like my videos. There's going to be lots more content coming in the future. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.